Well, good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder, and this is BRN AM for Monday, June 15th, 2020. And here is our top story. Back on the road, Americans return to travel this summer. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Jeanette Castellano is a spokesperson for AAA National. Jeanette, welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. We're getting a lot of questions from members and media about safe summer travel, and we've got lots of information, and we want to make sure when people do travel, they know what they need to look out for.
Yeah, and we talked last month about gas prices. Now we're going to talk about America is opening up, and we kind of hinted to a little bit of this when we chatted last month. Americans, many cities around the country, many states around the country opening back up, and people are now beginning to think about, or post-Memorial Day, think about travel. So let's break it down. Let's talk at a very high level, and then we can kind of break it down into different chances. What can you tell us?
We know people are going to travel. We've seen the roads get a little bit heavier in terms of traffic, and with Memorial Day, while there weren't definitely the 43 million people that traveled last year, there were people that did hit the road and go to the beaches, go to the mountains, and that's going to continue throughout the summer. But what's most important is that you have all the information in front of you before you travel. So a lot of that is understanding where you're going, what the impact COVID has been to that particular locality. If you're driving or flying, and any cities you're flying or driving through, you want to understand the impact of COVID there too, to help educate you on your decision for your route or how you're going to travel. AAA has just come out with a COVID-19 travel restriction map. That also helps anyone traveling. So it'll show you if there are any restrictions in terms of landmarks or beaches and important information like that. So I would highly recommend checking out the COVID-19 travel restriction map, and consumers can find that at triptic.com.
Yeah, we'll definitely post it. It should be right below us, but we'll definitely post the website there. Obviously, very important. Americans want to get out. We've all been bottled up, many of us. From here in New York, we've been bottled up for over 60 days, close to 90 days now. People want to get out on the road. This is that time of year. School is, well, it was kind of over, but it wasn't over. It's almost over. People want to get out, enjoy the theme parks, enjoy the hotels. Let's start talking about hotels a little bit. And I know you all also did a lot of information about cleanliness, and that is really important now that we're in the pandemic era, this COVID era. What can you tell us about kind of getting out on the road, hotels, cleaning, all the good things we need to take care of?
Well, if you're looking for a hotel, look to AAA. For decades, we've had the AAA Diamond inspections, and that provides you a lot of information into a hotel. And one of those buckets, of course, is the inspection that we do, and it looks at cleanliness. So a number, dozens and dozens of hundreds of hotels actually received AAA's Best of Housekeeping Award. And that's something to look for if you're going to book a hotel. It gives you a little bit of a peace of mind in terms of AAA's looked at it, and it gives it a A-OK in terms of cleanliness. Now, we do recognize that those badges were awarded pre-COVID, but keep in mind they received the highest ratings from AAA, and it also includes that those hotels haven't had a customer complaint in 2 years. So I think taking all of that into account is helpful. But do your research, right? Beyond that, call the hotel. Understand if they have any restrictions in place in terms of the number of guests, the capacity levels that they're booking to. What's open in the hotel? The gym may not be open. There can only be in dining or delivery to your room. You're going to want to ask a lot of questions about what that hotel can offer, so that when you get there are no surprises. But the way hotels look are going to be very different from what we're used to. And when you get to that hotel, you're going to want to pack those cleaning supplies and wipe down some of those high traffic areas, lights, faucets, lamps, the switches, your TV remote, just for, again, another more comfort for yourself in knowing that you're taking extra precautions and keeping yourself safe when you're going to hotels. But hotels have really ramped up, they've really ramped up their sanitation and their protocols too. And ask about that. You have the right to do that. If you're uncomfortable or you want to have that information in hand, just ask.
Yeah, sanitation, obviously very important. Many people, Jeanette, they're not necessarily just going to be traveling or driving the car or driving the RV or the bike or however they get around. They're also going to be accessing flights. And I know many of the airlines have started to take precautions where they're not even putting people in a middle seat, which is probably good for a lot of travelers because that middle seat is horrible to be in. But in all seriousness, there's a lot of things that the airlines are doing, wearing masks, cleanliness, wiping things down that they're doing as well.
Yeah. And if you are traveling by air, understand those carriers' precautions that they're taking, but also protocols are in place. So most airlines are requiring some kind of face covering when you get on, potentially gloves and other enhancements for your flight. TSA did just announce that they are allowing passengers to take a 12-ounce bottle of hand sanitizer through screening. We were everything was below 3.4 ounces, but one bottle of 12-ounce hand sanitizer is allowed. And then when you get on the flight, make sure that you are wiping everything down. Your seat, your seat belt, your screen, the food tray table. Just again, those added precautions you want to take for yourself. Social distance when you're getting to the airport. Always make sure you're wearing your face coverings. And also keep in mind that many airlines are suspending in-flight services, beverages and snacks. So once you get through security and before you board, you're going to want to make sure depending on how long your flight is or how thirsty you can possibly be, to pick up that water bottle or maybe pick up a snack so that you're on flight, you don't get too hungry or thirsty. Yeah,
I was actually reading somewhere that a lot of us go to the airports when we're traveling and we get food. There are restaurants typically there, but some in addition to not having a lot of travelers in the past, some of these airports also don't have some of these facilities open. You mentioned the hotels, but you also have to plan in that regard because you may not be able to sit down for a nice breakfast. So probably important to plan an event, fill up in advance of going through security.
Planning and research is, more precedent now more than ever. I know we keep hearing that everything's more precedent, but really, if you're going to be travel, you need to have all the information in front of you to make sure that you've got a safe and enjoyable trip. Yeah.
Last question for this segment, Jeanette. Is there a difference in terms of traveling? If you're, a lot of families travel together. You may have young children, adult children, and even parents, grandparents who like to come together. Are there any thoughts there about traveling with all these different age groups, given what we've learned over the last 3-4 months with this pandemic?
What we learned 3 months ago, at the beginning of March, is still relevant now. So you need to understand your own health concerns. If you are older, that it may not be best for you to travel and be around others, especially if you're at risk. Younger children and families, they may travel, but again, take those precautions. And are you comfortable? Where have you been? And are you comfortable knowing where you've been and who you've been around, being around other family members? I think the last thing we all want to do is put anyone else at risk. So you've got to take all of that into account. Again, go back to the CDC recommendations. If you're sick, don't travel. Talk to your healthcare provider if you have any questions, and make the best decisions possible for you to keep yourself safe and healthy as well as others.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeanette, I want to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about more about travel, including whether some of these theme parks that we all love to attend, including Disney, will be reopened. So stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. and we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
The windows on our homes, they protect us and the ones we love, but they do much more. At Renewal by Andersen, making your home more comfortable is at the center of every window we make. It's why we custom build our windows in America and install them in as little as 1 day. It's why we build our frames with exclusive FIBREX composite material that's 2 times stronger than vinyl. It's why our glass helps keep your home warmer in winter, cooler in summer, and quieter all year long. It's why we stand behind every window with a 20-year limited warranty. Why not help lower your energy costs while giving your home and family the best? Call 1-800-835-6525 to schedule a free in-home consultation. Buy one, get one at 40% off with this special offer. Plus, get special financing with no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 1 full year. Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window. Call 1-800-835-6525 now.
Welcome back. We're talking to Jeanette Castellano. She is spokesperson for AAA National. Jeanette, thanks so much for sticking around with us this morning.
Happy to be here.
So we talked about the reopening of America, what it means for travel, people getting out on the road. And if I ever am able to leave my apartment with my beautiful wife and we want to go to a theme park or just go visit our parents in North Carolina and in Baltimore, what do I pack? Because I got to think that the packing list is a lot more than just the clothes I'm wearing.
Definitely. And there's some key items you're going to want to add to that. Right, so we all already have our face coverings, so add that one to it. Gloves, if you don't have gloves, plastic bags, cleaning supplies, disinfectant wipes, hand sanitizers, and a thermometer. Those 4 things are definitely things to add to your packing list and to consider before you hit the road. You're going to want them no matter where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, really smart. So many Americans, Jeanette, they're going to hit the road, literally hit the road with their vehicle, their minivan, their RV, and they're going to be out there filling up at gas stations. What about public restrooms, right? So if I have a young child and the child or even I need to go to the restroom, are there going to be places along the way if I'm driving 3, 4, 5 hours to some part of the country where I can actually use the restroom?
Yes, things are open. You need to do your research ahead of time. Not necessarily all rest stops are open, but along your route, you're going to find gas stations or fast food restaurants that are open and welcome you. I just myself came back from a road trip between DC and South Carolina. We stopped one time on both ways, but we did find, a fast food restaurant and a gas station that we were able to go to. Now, when you stop at these places, especially a gas station or a rest stop, you're going to want to touch as little as possible. And understanding that's easier said than done, but if you have gloves, definitely put those on. If you don't have gloves, use a plastic bag, whether that's a Ziploc bag or one you find from your grocery station, and just put your hands in there so you're limiting what you're touching with your own fingers, and the bags are kind of a barrier for you. And of course, throw those out when you get back in the car. Use those disinfectant wipes to, again, hand sanitize, or if you have hand sanitizer. And when you're filling up the gas station, again, use that plastic bag to touch the pump, to touch the screen. Just another layer or another barrier between you and any germs you may be picking up.
Yeah, really, really smart. Jeanette, amusement parks, Disney, Six Flags, both of which are not sponsors of the show. I'm just naming them off the top of my head. They are very popular, and I have been reading that Disney has laid out a plan to reopen its parks. Some things that the audience should think about when they're going into the parks, things that might change, things that you need to consider. I imagine lining up for It's a Small World, one of my favorite rides, or the Teapot ride, maybe a little bit different than what we did in the past.
Yeah, definitely. While these theme parks are opening, it's not the open that we are so used to. It's important to, again, go to Disney's website, go to the other theme park websites, understand what restrictions they have in place. A lot of the theme parks are limiting capacity. So, there's not going to be thousands of people there. And depending on where they are, it could be 25, 30% capacity that it's open to. So reservations are important. Are those places taking reservations? You need to know that ahead of time. The last thing you want to do is get excited for a big day at a theme park, get there and you're not allowed in because you don't have the reservation. And then once you are on site, there's going to be a lot of social distancing. There's going to be not necessarily all food shops and vendors will be open too. So just like if you were going out to your own, local stores, not everything's open. And there's still the importance for social distancing, and you've got to keep that in mind when you are traveling. And these theme parks too, they've got also the protocols in place in terms of wearing face coverings and things like that.
Yeah, so when you go on the Star Wars ride in Star Wars Land, you're going to need to wear the Darth Maul or the Darth Vader mask with your mask underneath. Jeanette, what about coming back? So, we all live in different states. If we're visiting the state of Florida, for example, are there different rules in place where we might have to continue to, there were early on in the pandemic, for example, you had to, if you left your state and you went to another state, you had to stay inside for 14 days. Do you anticipate that varying depending on which state you live in? Also important to research government, local state information to find out what you need to do when you come back so that you don't, spread the pandemic, the virus?
And Jeff, you hit the nail on the head. Reopening is not one size fits all, and it really varies depending not just on state to state, but different localities within states. Family friends of ours just went to their summer home in Maine, and they learned that before they got there that they were going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks for that specific small locality in Maine. So again, like we've said before, research is more important. This isn't a one size fit all. You need to understand what rules and regulations and protocols are in place for the different localities that you're traveling to, and if that's going to impact you when you're traveling there or when you're returning home.
Yeah. Last question, Jeanette. In terms of the research that AAA is noted for, you always are putting out more research. You've talked about gas prices. You just released a travel, I don't know, advisory is the right word, but travel research. What else can we expect? Will you be doing a higher volume as things begin to reopen? We get into the vacation time. People are out on the road. I'm assuming that you're getting, not you in particular, but the team at AAA is getting a lot of data back. So I'm assuming you'll be releasing more reports, more information.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing our online bookings starting to increase, albeit modest, but that's promising, and we're excited because that shows us that people are ready to get out and travel when it's safe or when they feel comfortable traveling. We typically have a Memorial Day or Independence Day travel forecast, and the data just hasn't been readily available for us to push one out. But we're getting to a point where we are confident in the economic data that's being provided to us. And we do plan on having a Q3 report, so reflective of July through September in terms of travel volume, where we expect people to travel, potentially in terms of road trips, not necessarily air travel. There's not a lot of data there right now. But yes, AAA will continue to provide this information to consumers, whether it's through our travel restrictions map at triptic.aaa.com, lots of information on our planning site within AAA.com. We're here for people, and we are your trusted source when it comes to traveling. And of course, automotive too, and so many other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how, when this information comes back at the state and local level, what that looks like. And people should definitely get out when they're comfortable, because this is going to help local economies, local businesses. A lot of these people, small businesses and restaurants, et cetera, really have struggled over the last 90 days. And they put in place some protocols. Jeanette, always a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks so much for joining us in the program. And we look forward to having you back again on the program very soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Stay safe.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest or someone you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the news in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, and more, check out today's edition of The Morning Pulse. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Attention! The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has officially authorized new benefits that Medicare Advantage plans may include. To get the benefits you deserve, you can call the Medicare Coverage Helpline.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. If you're on Medicare, this is important information. I called the Medicare Coverage Helpline and they instantly looked up my coverage. In this one simple call, they offered to enroll me in a plan that includes rides to medical appointments, private home aids, doctors and nurses' visits by telephone, and even home-delivered meals. The plan also includes dental, vision, hearing, and prescription drug coverage, all at no additional cost.
Don't delay. Call to see if the new benefits are available in your area.
Call the number on your screen now. It's free.
Call 1-800-757-1451. That's 1-800-757-1451.